Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man. I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I'm David L. Rhodes. This is the Indy Report. I hope you guys are having an outstanding week. I'm going to go ahead and roll through the intro. Hopefully we'll have somebody from Hampton and Tennessee State here because I have questions. And I'm pretty sure they have questions for me. But I'm going to go ahead and roll through this intro real quick. Let's see here. Bear with me as I figure things out as I go. Got a different setup today. I'm out of town, visiting parents. Welcome to episode 710 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture and HBCU athletic status to facilitate the story of HBCU's athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, David L. Rhodes. Jeffery Johnson, Tariq Wilson, and Brandon King are likely on assignment, but they might make an appearance today. We are filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to our KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. So yeah, let's get into it. So one thing that I've learned when it comes to what happened over the weekend and what particularly is going to happen this week, it's rivalry week. So we got two rivals where we got MEAC schools going up against independents. We have Hampton Howard and we have A&T and the school down the road. Should be a good event to say the least from that standpoint, from that perspective. I want to talk about the games that happened over the week in Hampton. The reason why I'm out of town is primarily because I went to go to that game and I plan on going to Aggie Eagle this weekend as well. So I want to get into that a little bit, get into the atmosphere of the game, get into what I saw from beginning to end, and the things that I noticed on both ends of the spectrum for A&T and Hampton and how I feel they're going to go into their games coming up this upcoming weekend. But when it comes to the news stories, I saw Dr. Cavil's top 7 for the mid-major division. I think he had Edward Waters number 1, if I recall correctly. No, he had Virginia Union number 1. Yeah, he had Edward Waters number 1, and I felt like Johnson C. Smith should be number 1, if I recall correctly. I'm checking it right now because it's been a long week already. Yeah, he had Edward Waters number 1, and I understand why you would put them number 1, but I believe Johnson C. Smith should be number 1. But that's just nuance. Those are definitely the top 2 teams in Division 2. It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out long term. Edward Waters was definitely number 1. Johnson C. Smith was number 2. I will flip those with regards to that. I think that when we talk about what happened in the games with A&T and Hampton over the weekend, I'm going to go ahead and get into it a little bit. I was trying to wait and see if somebody from HU Powership comes, but very phenomenal atmosphere. Almost 16,000 people were there for the game. Hampton did bring the marching force with them, so we got a 0 in the 5th quarter, which was awesome to see. Overall, I think um, I think that the game was a slog at the beginning, but it ended up being a tied game going into the half at 10, and then Hampton started pulling away, um, and it became 20-10 in the second half. We A&T lost their quarterback going into the second half, due to a launching play. Player launched at the starting quarterback, um, near the end of the first half, and so they checked him out. He finished the drive, and then they checked him out, and they decided he can't come back into the second half. So we were down to I call it the final quarterback, the seventh quarterback, the seventh string quarterback, Noah Sanders. And Noah Sanders, I think they were being very conservative with him initially, but then in the fourth quarter, they finally, particularly with the last 2 minutes, they finally let him loose. And when they let him loose, he proceeded, while we were down 10 points, to proceed to throw a touchdown pass with less than a minute to go. Um, and the score at that point was 20-17. And then in the ensuing kickoff, A&T went for an onside kick. They had the hand teams out there. Shout out to Aaron Harris, who's an Aeneas Williams award, is on the award watch list, for this upcoming season. He recovered the onside kick. Um, A&T proceeded. Then there was a penalty. There was an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty as well that happened right after. So A&T proceeded to get into to drive down the field goal range. Had a little opportunity to potentially close it out in regulation, but they ended up in field goal range. Kicked the field goal, tied it up, went in overtime. A&T got the ball first. A&T decided to. A&T ran the ball. Wesley Grays ended up. I think it was a quarterback sneak initially, to get the first touchdown, and then the second. Then Hampton received the ball at first play, got a touchdown pass. So shout out to them for staying in it. And then possession swap. So then second overtime, Hampton gets the ball first, and they ended up getting a field goal. And then A&T proceeded to get a 5-yard touchdown pass, 5-yard touchdown run from Wesley Graves. They just pretty much ran it down and scored a touchdown, and the final score was 33-30. And Reek is here. What's going on, Reek? How you doing, sir?
Oh man, it's been one heck of a day, but I ain't want you to think I was ducking the smoke. So I only got like
I,
2 minutes. So I just wanted to jump in and say
all
congratulations.
right. Oh, I appreciate it, man. So listen, man, I need your perspective on what happened on the end of Hampton. I just went over the game about what happened, but I really need your
Okay.
perspective on what happened at the end of this game.
Well, here's what I think happened. So because Jeff and I, when we did our show last night, yeah, last night. Wow,
Yeah,
we
it was
we
a good show
played.
too.
Thank you, man. We went through. We showed the end of the game, and at the end on that onside kick, it was chippy. So the players were going back and forth, and I saw some of your coaches come and put hands on our players.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah. So I'm getting that would fire me up as an opposing coach. That's just my guess. That's the best guess I got. So from there, things kind of escalated. But our players and your players going back and forth. And at least one of your coaches went up and grabbed like number 15, like grabbed him. And I could see that making things escalate. That's the best I got.
mm. Yeah, nah, because I didn't like I was watching it and I saw there was a lot of scramble at the end of it, but it was a clear recovery by A&T.
Yeah.
So I don't know why the scramble. Um, However, then the flags came out because it's always about what the refs see, right? Then
Yeah.
the flags came, something happened. So the flags came out, it was an unsportsmanlike conduct, the 15-yard penalty happened. And then like A&T was almost in field goal range at that point because Money Brown could hit it for 50.
Hmm.
So, so we weren't like at that point, we're like, all right, they're gonna try to get this field goal and move on. And then they ended up doing it, and then they ended up getting it over overtime and winning it out. But I'm curious to know, was it because I know you guys defensively do struggle against the run, but y'all overall did a pretty good job neutralizing the run for the
Yeah.
majority of the game. I don't know if it might have been a situation of fatigue because we're gonna keep trying to run the ball because that's just
Hmm.
what Gibbs wants to do. So I
Yeah.
just, so I was thinking about that aspect too.
Yeah, no, you see every now and then we just give up a bust. Like the team is so young, just whatever, and they rotate so many guys in. One guy's out of a gap, and that's it. That's all it takes. We're not always on the string playing in harmony. So you're gonna see a lot of young stuff, man. Like those last two drives we had on that onside kick, unsportsmanlike, and then on a touchdown drive, another unsportsmanlike. We just do stupid stuff, man. Just young stuff.
All right. Since you don't have that much time, I guess we need to go ahead and roll into Hampton because I really want to get your perspective. Hampton
Yeah,
Howard. So I really want to get your perspective on this game coming into what happened, right? Because I think it's going to be a tale of for both of our games. Like I said, we're both got our rival this weekend.
yep,
So for Howard Hampton, what what do you like? I watched the presser today with Boykin. What
yeah.
do
That
you
was
think?
interesting.
What yeah? What do you think the vibes are right now? With regards to after what happened on Saturday going into this game. I know this is the game for you guys, but what do you think the vibes are right now regarding the team, how they feel about it, and things of that sort?
Well, I think the players, from being around, they man, their memory spans are so short. Like, so I think they're okay. But the coach, you saw Boykins, he kept mentioning coaching, coaching, coaching up. So I think the coaches are under pressure on a hot seat to have these guys prepared. So I think the coaches, administration, fans, like we all feeling the pressure. I hope the players aren't. I mean, we sadly, Jeff and I or both think Howard should win this game only because they are a more mature team. They ain't
Mhm.
gonna do a whole lot of stupid stuff like we will, but I think we have we have at certain positions we have more talented players, more impact players, especially on defense. But as you see, every game we just do stuff that just makes no sense at all. So there's no reason to think we ain't gonna do that. So if we do it, then we're gonna lose straight up.
So you talked about how you have them in some positions from a talent standpoint. Do you think you guys as a whole are a more talented team than Howard?
On defense, yes. Offense,
Oh,
nah, I think it's about a push offensively, but defensively, I think
okay.
so. Yeah, defensively, we got our secondary is and on those late passes, we had some backups in there because of injuries, but and number 24 got tossed out for that targeting. So, but when
Yeah.
everybody's healthy, we're good. Linebackers, number one, had a great game. Number 51, other backer, he's good. Defensive lines are work in progress. Defensively, we're fine. Offensively, I think Howard could even have the edge potentially.
So somebody said that they're giving the edge to the Bison, but I think that they're playing in a neutral site, aren't they?
Yeah, it's Audi Field in DC,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
but
a
it's
neutral
gonna
site.
be it's gonna be 50-50. I mean, Hampton, half of Hampton lives in DC, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
decent
Like I
grass.
don't like they're not playing it in Howard Stadium. So I didn't yeah, so to my perspective, even though it's in DC, it's a neutral site. Like there was a time when Aggie Eagle used to play in Raleigh. Raleigh's
Yeah.
right up the street from Durham, and
Hmm.
it wasn't a neutral site. It was considered a neutral site game, even though
Right.
in essence it's right down the street from where they're at. But
Yeah.
I it should be interesting, man. I picked Howard to win, but I think it's gonna be close because I think they're due. Like they're due. Like you
Yeah.
guys
If
have beaten
if they
them
gonna catch
so
us, they
many
better
years.
catch us now. They better get us right now.
Yeah, because if
Now's the
you if
time.
you got if you guys win again, that would how many times in a row would that be at that point?
I
It's been a
forget. I don't lost count.
it's been a while, man, since they've won.
Yeah.
So I think if there's a time to do it, it's got to be now.
Yeah.
With regards to that,
Yeah.
you want to
I
talk about
like I
my
like
game?
Gibbs. Yeah, I like Gibbs, man. I like him. I think the Central they're better coached than we are, or their players are more mature than we are. So they ain't gonna do the stupid stuff we did. So it's gonna be tougher for y'all against them. But the
Oh,
way
it's
Gibbs got y'all playing, y'all will be competitive. But Eagles should win this game.
yeah. I'm not. I ain't ready. I believe in the Big Mo. So
Yeah.
I'm not ready to concede. Like right now, we're 13-point underdogs against that
Oh,
school down the road right now. So like I
yeah.
think we'll cover the spread. Fun fact: A&T has covered the spread against every FCS opponent so far this season.
Wow, that's awesome.
So 13 is a lot. Like I don't think
Yeah.
it's gonna be 13. I don't think like I wouldn't be shocked if the school down the road wins, but I think this is going to be a much tougher matchup than what they think it is. I think folks need to realize that this isn't last year.
No, it ain't. It ain't. I
This
saw
ain't.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. This ain't last year. Like, I think everybody and people have a habit. It's about recency bias too, right? Everybody's going to think about what's going on last year, because I've been seeing some of these top sevens, man, and top fives of the best HBCU teams, and I keep asking the question, why isn't Delaware State on these lists? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. But you're going off of what you saw previously. But this is obviously a different team than previously.
Mm-hmm.
And if they keep rocking, they could be with only one loss going into that game against Monmouth prior to conference play.
That's true.
So like you got and they'll have more FCS wins than pretty much everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're good. I'm glad we ain't got them on the schedule. So they run right by us, man.
The era of them being the homecoming opponent might be over as long as Deshaun Jackson's still there as the head coach. He's doing a phenomenal job there, so I have to give a shout out to him.
Yeah,
I think he's working wonders. Did you know that they're number one in rushing in FCS?
I saw that. Yep.
That is insane.
That's insane.
Considering what position that Deshaun Jackson played, that is insane.
Yeah, that's insane. Yep. Man.
But
hey man, I gotta run, but yeah, man, it was I'm glad you were there to see that in person. And
oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm happy for y'all. I just wish it wasn't against us.
Yeah, we needed that win bad, Rick. You don't understand.
Yeah. Dang, man. Hey, I gotta run, man. But hey, have a good rest of the show. And good luck this weekend.
Oh no, I appreciate it, man. Good luck to you too, man. I hope you guys if y'all keep the streak going, man. I think Howard gonna be looking for a new coach.
Yeah, if they can't beat us this year, they need to hang it up.
Yep. All right, man. You have a good one. I'm gonna go in again, take the first commercial break, and we'll be right back.
All right, man.
See you. Peace.
Later.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a state, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
College football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
Welcome back to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, episode 710. This is the Indy Report. I think I'm going to be solo for the rest of this ride, and that's fine. I got a couple things I want to discuss. One thing I want to discuss is before we get into the games is the state of the MEAC. I mentioned Delaware State and how good they've been playing, and they're starting to become a bigger threat for that MEAC title than we're not appreciating yet. And maybe we might be jumping the gun too fast because there are some pretty good teams in that conference. But I think the conference having Delaware State last in the preseason poll is kind of expected, but now I don't know if they're going to be placing last in that conference. The school down the road has a habit of getting clipped by somebody, and if they get clipped by Delaware State, or they get clipped by Morgan, or clipped by anybody, because they're good to get clipped by somebody. Typically, it's on the road. I didn't check to see if Delaware State's on the road or not, but if they get clipped, it could happen. So you'll be surprised. I thought it was much longer than that. Has it been that? I thought it was much longer than that. It might be. Let me check. Are you saying it's 2019? Let's see. Howard Hampton. Let's see. I'm about to put Rivalry on there so I can pull it up. No, the last time Howard has beaten Hampton is 2014. Hampton has won the last 8 attempts. So Hampton has an 8-game streak against Howard. So 2014 was the last time they've won that game. Yeah. Hampton's had longer streaks than this, by the way, believe it or not, when I look at the data. But I don't think that's asking too much. And I don't think, and let me be clear, I expect the school down the road to be at the Celebration Bowl. I'm just saying that Delaware State has a legitimate shot to make this interesting. Make it like, I think South Carolina State is definitely going to make this interesting. Because South Carolina State has looked much better than I thought they would, considering. Shout out to Brian. Make sure you guys stick around for the ONG Strike Zone after this show. You can't believe everything Google say, Lennon, just so you know. Oh yeah, I do want to talk about this game a little bit. So Tennessee State played Alabama A&M in the Legacy Series. Also, they have a 4-year. They're going to have a 4-year series, which I think is awesome. That those guys are playing each other again. I watched a decent chunk of this game. Like I said, I went to A&T Hampton, so I got a chance to watch some of this game prior to the kickoff because it was a night game. And I saw the 21-point surge that Tennessee State had. And that was pretty much the only quarter in the second quarter. And that was pretty much the only quarter that they scored, which is not encouraging. I think Tennessee State is in an interesting place right now. They were picked to be next to last in the conference. I think they're going to do I think they're going to be able to work some wonders within the conference. I don't think they're going to be next to last, but I think that's a classic example of a team that's just now getting together, right? They had over 60 players that were replaced within the past few months after the departure of Eddie George. So Reggie Baller this season is going to be a mulligan. However, I know there was a whole discussion point about attendance when it came to this game. They had a little over 10,000 folks that were at the game. And, there's a lot of back and forth about whether or not they should move to another conference and things of that nature. And I don't see them going anywhere until there's another Tennessee school that decides to leave the OVC. I think once you're the last Tennessee school left, then all the reasoning of staying in that conference kind of becomes null and void. But with regards to that game as a whole, they have to figure out to have some level of consistency of offense. And one other thing that I noticed is that they're pretty much about the big play. Like, they beat A&T off the big play, right? A&T, outside of 3 plays when we played them in the opener, they were they only have 59 yards of total offense. So they're about the big play. And if they don't hit the big play, you're going to have those type of offensive woes, so to speak, or droughts. So if you're going to have those type of offensive droughts, that will be an issue with regards to how to handle staying in the game for the entire year, for the entire season, and for all 4 quarters. Defensively, they have some spots where you can take advantage of them as well, but I would say that's their strong suit. But they had their opportunities to beat Alabama A&M, and they weren't able to do so. So that's my quick thoughts about that game. So with regards to that, Dell State and South Carolina State may have something to say about that. Well, I don't know what to do with Morgan, A&T Roy, to be honest with you. I kind of don't know what to do with Morgan. Morgan State is in a pickle right now because they've been struggling. They're 0-3 currently. They should get their first win this weekend against Central State. But overall, I don't know if Morgan has a legitimate chance with the other teams within the conference rising. So then you're going to have some questions, right, with regards to that, because, I think this would be the year. They just got to find an offense. But we've been saying that for a few years now. They just got to find an offense. But we'll see. They picked Delaware State last, the same reason why everybody picked A&T last. I mean, there were people that had A&T 0-12. So they're going off recency bias. Delaware State hasn't been a good football program in a while. They have some challenges there as well that Deshaun Jackson's got to work through. I just find it fascinating that Delaware State didn't get the same grace when it came to Norfolk State when it comes to standings and where they should lie. So when you take that into account, it makes it kind of difficult to navigate. But Deshaun Jackson has surprised folks. We'll see how valuable that UAlbany win is because the week after Delaware State beat UAlbany laid an egg against New Haven, who's just not playing Division I football for the very first time. So we don't know. Over time we're gonna see how good that UAlbany win is, but right now UAlbany's 0-3. But this weekend, I believe they play Sacred Heart, if I recall correctly. If they get a win against Sacred Heart, that'll do wonders as well. Let's see. Hey, look, man, there was a lot to what happened at the end of the game, particularly about the handshake. The problem, and Coach Gibbs did publicly apologize for his conduct after the game. But he did also say, it was the shaking hands at the end of the game is something that he thinks that everybody should do regardless of the result. That's something that he had to do the following week when they lost to Central Florida 68-7. So I think that's just something that you have to do. And I think he just felt the way. And the cameras caught it, right? But he apologized for that as well. Oh, boy. I agree. Kendrick Rhymes is legit. He's legit, but that's the only thing they have right now. I mean, they were still trying to figure out who starting quarterback was going to be over at Tennessee State. Talent equals wins, but it also equals coaching. Like I don't think a lot of folks realize how many players came back from that A&T roster that didn't have a Division I win last year. More than folks realize. There's a lot of folks that came back from that team. We didn't have like the crazy portal. We didn't have the crazy portal like Tennessee State did. There was a lot of players that returned. So coaching matters too, because it's also about harnessing the talent that you have. And I think Norfolk State does have some talent on their roster, but I think coaching has been a challenge right now for them. And I think what folks thought Norfolk was going to be is what Delaware State is going to end up being. Like I think a lot of folks legitimately thought that Norfolk State was going to be a threat to sneak into the Celebration Bowl. And I think it's really Delaware State. And I know it's going to be interesting about that. Emmett, one thing I've learned about the transfer portal, you can ask that question for every player that goes in. At one point, they had over 5,000 players in the transfer portal. So people will just go to go. And there's going to be more players going into the portal very soon with the 2 firings of those coaches at the FBS level. So that's just what it's going to be. All right. I'm going to take our second and final break because I'm going to run through the rest of the show. When we come back, we're going to talk about rivalry week, and I'll give you my perspective on the two games that are going to be happening within that rivalry week. And we'll dip into, I think Tennessee State's on bye, but I'll double check during the break. But I think we need to look into that as well. And I will look into Tennessee State as well. So we'll be right back after this next break.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
College football fans, a champion will rise in Atlanta on December 13th. MEAC champion, SWAC champion, the 10th Cricket Celebration Bowl, crowning an HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com. ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year. Returning to Atlanta on December 12th, 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where 2 national champions will be crowned. Follow us for rankings updates throughout the season, and join us on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, episode 710. This is the Indy Report. So I checked the schedule. Tennessee State is on bye. They're off this week. So they go right into conference play against Tennessee Tech on September 27th, which makes sense why Brandon King's on assignment this week. He probably don't want to talk about what happened against Alabama State and things of that sort. So I want to talk about Aggie Eagle this week. Aggie Eagle, this is the classic. I want to shout out both Coach Trey Oliver and Coach Sean Gibbs. And the reason why I want to shout both of them out is that both of them understand the importance of this rivalry. I think I give the school down the road a lot of grief, but they got a heck of a coach over there, and he knows how to recruit. His organization knows how to recruit, and they got some talented folks over there. I think Walker Harris, you can put an argument that he, outside of Andrew Body, is the best quarterback in HBCU sports. You got Chris Mosley, the running back over there, who's legit. He's legitimate. He can play really, really well. But I will say this A&T team is not last year's A&T team. This is a different attitude, different mindset. Yes, we're on QB7, but that QB was here last year as well. And so I think he has some level of experience, and he showed that he got the guts because he pulled off that comeback last week. So I think we're going to be okay. I think right now, like I said earlier in the show, A&T's 13-point underdogs. I think we'll easily cover that spread. I think this game is going to be closer. I think A&T is going to sneak out a win. I think the streak is going to end right here, and I think that at that point the school down the road will be in a panic. I think it's going to be phenomenal to see the atmosphere that's going to happen with this game. For those who don't know, Sean Gibbs is an alumnus of the school down the road. Trey and Sean played together down there. So when you take all the elements that's going to be in this, we had former coaches that was coaching for the school down the road that came to A&T. There's a lot of other factors involved regarding that. I heard a story about Otto and why he's not getting enough burn down in Norfolk State. It is NIL based, and I'll leave it at that. So you got to play your best guys to have a shot to win games, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do that depending on the situation with the NIL down in Norfolk. So we'll see how that goes. But that being said, so this is a big game for both teams. It's been a while for A&T coming off of a win going into this game, considering that we haven't done too much winning over the past few years. However, I think this is going to be I'm going to be honest with you, man. I thought we could have beaten those guys the first year, Brown's first year. Because we didn't lose too much talent, and we were in that game. And the last time we played in Greensboro, we couldn't stop anybody. The defense was so bad at the time. I thought we had a shot that year. That was 2023. So I thought we should be able to beat them in 2023, and I think we had opportunities to do so because we had some talent on that roster. It just wasn't utilized enough. But we're gonna see how it goes. I think that we're gonna keep it interesting. I think everybody's expecting a blowout, and I don't think that's gonna happen. I think everybody's going off recency bias after what happened last year. But this is a different mentality than what we had last year. I ran into a player at the end of the Hampton A&T game on Saturday, and I went to congratulate him, and I gave him props for not quitting. And the quote he pretty much said was, "If this was last year, we would have definitely quit." So this is a different attitude. This is a different swag. This is a different team from last year. And I know a lot of folks had us going winless, but that's not going to happen, obviously, after what happened Saturday. But I think we're going to make this game competitive, and I think we have an outside shot to get it. But not to say that school down the road isn't good, because they are. They're very talented. A lot of folks picked them to win the MEAC. So this is going to say a lot about both of those teams at the end of this. Now, will we pivot to Howard Hampton? It's kind of fascinating. Like I said, the last time that Howard beat Hampton was 2014. And with regards to that, Howard has to figure out a way to get over this hump. And if there's any time for them to get over the hump, it's now. I think the youth of Hampton could be their detriment. But if those guys stay focused, I think Hampton's the more talented team. But the problem is that Hampton has had some discipline challenges, and those discipline challenges has cost them games, almost cost them 2 games. They could be staring at 0-3 right now. So when we take all those things into account, I'm going to give Howard a nod here, and I think they're going to end the streak, which is going to be interesting for Hampton, being 1-3 continuing into conference play. Well, would it be 1-3? Yes, it would be 1-3. Continuing into conference play, because that means if Howard beats Hampton, that means Hampton's going to be going into the rest of conference play with no Division I FCS wins. And I know that, and I've talked to a lot of folks at Hampton, and they had some high hopes for this season. And I don't think this is how they wanted to start the year. So Hampton needs this game more than Howard does, believe it or not, in my opinion, because they need some level of momentum going into the Brunner conference play. They got some tough opponents going in, and I can say the same for A&T. A&T needs this win. If they pull it out and they win this game, that's a 2-game winning streak with being 1-0 in the conference. Right now, they're currently second place in the conference because Rhode Island is 2-0, and they're tied with I believe William and Mary, who is also 1-0 for second place. So they need this win because that's good momentum going up to Maine the following week, which another game that I plan on attending. So it'll be good. Maine is winless right now, so it might be an opportunity to get that second conference win, potentially be 2-0 in conference, and then coming out at the end of the month with a winning record, which would be beautiful to see. We should be 2-1 now, but I'm trying to quit licking old wounds, so to speak. Let me go into the comments real fast. I don't think this is happening. I know everybody thinks that those three institutions should head back to go to the MEAC. Well, Tennessee State's never been in the MEAC, but I think there's a lot of things that have to happen before that occur, and I don't see it happening. I think A&T and Hampton, I'm considering the type of coverage they get with the CAA, consider the media deal that they have with the CAA, consider the freedom that they have within the conference with regards to like a linear TV deal. I just don't see them doing it. We won CBS proper last year in men's basketball. So I just don't see it happening. And we got the HBCU Classic coming up, which is pretty awesome, which I know that's probably not necessarily related to the CAA, but still. So I think they enjoy having the linear television that they have and things of that sort. So that's just my thoughts on that. Yeah, now it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with regards to that for Aggie Eagle this week. But it doesn't change the fact of how talented the team that School Down the Road is. And I think the big thing that we have to be ready for, it all starts up front. And so I truly believe that our defensive line has to be able to get some wins against the offensive line of those boys in Durham. I think it's pivotal that they get some wins with regards to that. Yep, that's where I'm at. No, and you know, I have a running joke about like conference alignment and things of that sort. The CAA commissioner was at the A&T Tennessee State game. And he also was at the A&T Hampton game as well. So I think the CAA sees A&T as a crown jewel. And that is going to be it's going to be a tough sell to convince them to go back. I know folks are worried about teams leaving the conference, but even William & Mary, when they made the decision to head to the Patriot League for football, it was only for football. It wasn't for anything else. So I think folks got to look at it past just one sport. I think a lot of times we get encapsulated with the most popular sport, and I think folks got to look at it from all the other perspectives with the other sports and things of that sort. So that's just my thoughts on that. I know we always have the conversations about teams making moves to go back into a conference, but I think you have to look at the entire perspective of it all, and you don't necessarily have to agree, and that's okay. But I've always felt like when they made the decision to make the move, when A&T made the decision to make the move, initially it was about cutting costs, but the end goal was to get to the CAA. So they're where they expected to be in a couple of years. They just ended up getting there much earlier than anticipated. And Hampton, and as for Hampton, and this has been on record, they would have preferred to go to the CAA over the MEAC when they went to the MEAC. So you got to take. There's a lot of other things involved with that because that was with the previous regime, the previous president of Hampton. He really wanted to be in the CAA. This was a goal of his. So when you take all those things into account, it's going to be difficult to convince those two schools. Tennessee State, I think it's about optics. This is just me. Now, this is just me talking from my perspective. I think it's about optics with all the fact that we talk about the fact that the cost and how they're trying to cut and the cost challenges that they've had as an institution right now. Some of it's on the state. Let me be clear. Some of it's on the politics of the state, things of that nature. But optically, it doesn't look good to leave and go to a conference that could potentially cost them more from a travel perspective. The MEAC will cost them more from a travel perspective than the OVC right now. I mean, you can argue the SWAC probably could too. But either way, optically, it doesn't look good. And the fact that they made the decision to opt out of the NCAA settlement, I don't know if that's going to fit with the SWAC. Would they be okay with them going there and opting out? We know that the MEAC, there's schools that made the decision to opt out. But the SWAC, that might not be an option because they decided to do it as a conference. But that's probably something simple. Like I'm pretty sure Dr. McKellen would be willing to work with that if that's the decision that they make. if they made the decision to make the jump to the SWAC. So that's my 2 cents on that. Let me tell you something, man. When I saw him, that's the first thing I thought. I was like, he out here trying to add Tennessee to the list, add a major market. Recruiting ability for what? We haven't had any problems recruiting. We've beaten out some of the MEAC and SWAC schools for players. So I don't think we've had any problem recruiting. And I think part of the reason why is the perception of the conference. Like the CAA football is probably considered the premier conference on the East Coast. Like that's the perception from an FCS standpoint. They're considered the premier conference in the East Coast. So we get players, we get talent that some players, some institutions won't have a shot at because of that alone. Like we get, so I think, and you're a Jackson State alum, but Jackson State has a lot of things going for them, and they're doing a phenomenal job with that. But that's not the case for everybody within that conference. So when you take all that into effect, like we've been able to recruit really good talent, particularly particularly in basketball, we convinced a 4-star player to come here instead of Syracuse or Louisville. Like, so I think the CAA in basketball is known as a mid-major conference, a pretty strong mid-major conference. So when you take all those things to account, I think there's other layers. Like it's not just about football. A volleyball team, volleyball is going to probably be a potential moneymaker long term. And I think more of our HBCUs need to focus on that. We're able to get talent there that we wouldn't be able to get otherwise. So there's a lot of other elements to it all. Like there's data to show that we haven't had any issues with recruiting, and we've already won some championships in the conference. We're still able to get folks in the nationals for the NCAA from a track perspective. We're doing things that we need to be doing from that perspective. So I'm not too worried about the recruiting side of the fence, because A&T as an institution is the largest HBCU in the country. We broke over 15,000 students. So they have these coaches have something to sell for the institution. So I'm not too worried about it from that aspect. I'm not worried about recruiting one bit. Yeah, but the thing is, there's not a lot of players that are getting drafted across the board, man. Like I think everybody talks about, well, we got to get players drafted. How many HBCU players were drafted last year? This season in the NFL? 1. So, it's an uphill battle. I'll ask you this question: which FCS conference had the most players getting invites for UDFAs? It was the CAA. More than the Missouri Valley Conference, more than the Big Sky. The CAA had more players that got UDFA invites than any other conference in FCS. All right, and that includes A&T players. Not saying that MEAC doesn't do a phenomenal job, because shout out to Elijah Williams. He bettered himself and he won. He should have been drafted, but I think that FCS is more going to be utilized from an NFL standpoint to be more of a undrafted free agent feeder, which is unfortunate. And that's your path to get in. So there's that. 13, Zach. 13. We have 13 teams in the conference. Only one more than the SWAC. 13. 13 full-time members. So there you go. So yeah. But I am fascinated to see how they're going to do CAA scheduling next year with William and Mary leaving and Sacred Heart entering. Hey, man, all right, I'm going to close the show very soon, but I do want to talk about this. There's reasons for that, because we invest in all the programs pretty evenly. Particularly when it comes to NIL and everything else. Like women's basketball is going to have a pretty big NIL budget, and so will men's basketball. Men's basketball might be bigger than football, believe it or not. But when you take everything into account, because they invest in the bowling program, they invest in the track program, they invest like they don't get like, they do more than just. There's a lot of challenges within the football program that has to be resolved, because football tends to be the most expensive. But they put their money pretty evenly across the big. Earl called it the big 6 sports. Football is one of those 6 sports. They kind of spread it out pretty evenly. Our athletic budget is around $19 million. So I think it's going to go up. So, but I wasn't surprised when I saw that we were near the bottom of the list. because I know how much they invest in track. I know how much they invest in bowling. I know how much they invest in volleyball. So everything is kind of invested evenly. A lot of times, a lot of schools tend to just invest in one or two sports, and basketball too, men's and women's basketball as well. So, that's part of the reason why. Fun fact, we were the largest HBCU before the Celebration Bowl started. I just want y'all to know that. Like, I think everybody says that, but we were already the largest HBCU before the Celebration Bowl started playing games. Before we even got good at football, crazy enough. Just like Morgan State, I know Morgan State's an easy target, and I do pick on Morgan State. They haven't won a football championship since 2014, and they won that with 4 other schools, but they're the 3rd largest HBCU in the country. Why? They didn't win a MEAC championship last year. Why? They're the 3rd largest. They're only behind A&T and Howard. They're the 3rd largest HBCU in the country, and they haven't had enough. Now, once they start getting that athletic success, they're going to be really out of there. So no, they weren't. I know you want to believe it, but I'm telling you that they weren't. I had this argument with somebody the other day. Check it. Celebration Bowl started in 2015. We've been the largest HBCU for over a decade, probably like 12 years if I remember correctly. 12 or 13 years at this point. Celebration Bowl started in 2015. So we were already the largest HBCU before the Celebration Bowl. Do I think it helped? Absolutely. I think us winning it helped. It probably helped with the momentum to keep it going. But when Chancellor Martin 1.0 came in, his biggest goal was to be the largest HBCU in the country. Like, that was like one of his goals, because enrollment was in the dumps when he took over. Enrollment was down when he took over at A&T. So his goal was to turn that around. So he got a real estate foundation going. He started buying properties so he can have housing for the students, and then they just started building from there, because they were already known as a strong research facility. And then they started getting more research dollars. And they just started increasing their enrollment, because the key to keeping the athletic program going is our enrollment. So they have to keep those numbers up. They have to. But all right, I'm about to close out the show. That was a good discussion point. I really appreciate the discussion with regards to that. So I'm going to go ahead and close out the show. Appreciate everybody that was watching, man. This was good. This was good. Really good discussion. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends or colleagues. We look forward to next week after we discuss the latest news in the lab. Make sure you follow Dr. Kiana Cavil on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Make sure you follow Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook and Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at ChampD1012. I'm always responding to folks. You can just hit me up if you want to talk about anything. You want to talk about A&T's enrollment, if you want to talk about A&T being not being a good football team, you can come to me and talk to me whatever you want. Dream big and continue to move forward. We will talk to you soon. Course, lecture, dismiss. You guys enjoy the rest of your week and have a phenomenal weekend. Enjoy football Saturday, guys. It's rivalry week.